If you don't, it's hard to stand out and create the personal brand and business of your dreams. Over the past decade, I figured out a way to bring all of you to your online presence. It's how I've built an audience of over 100,000 plus across my social media channels and email list while being an introverted nerd. But first, it can be helpful to understand why it can feel so hard to just be yourself online. All your audience has to form their opinion of you are condensed snapshots that you have to choose. That's why common unwisdom to just be yourself doesn't work for most people. You actually have to amp up everything about yourself just to come across naturally online. The problem is, if you're also a private person like me, it doesn't feel comfortable to share details about yourself, much less share more to get them across. If you feel the same way, let me know in the comments. Even though it might come across differently from social media, not everyone feels comfortable sharing every aspect of their life. In fact, I grew up being taught that you don't talk about yourself or your family because that's rude, bragging, and disrespectful to others. But there's a really smart way to handle this, which I actually learned from a past client of mine who's a branding expert. Choose 3 to 4 aspects of your life that you do feel comfortable talking about. Make those the things you give people regular updates on. For example, if you've been in LZ land for any amount of time, you know I love my dog, Falco. He doesn't mind when I talk about him, so I'm able to give people insight into me through my stories with him, while maintaining my privacy and my family's privacy. But doing just that isn't enough, because people do also want to see the human side of you. Common unwisdom has translated this to mean that you should be vulnerable by crying or sharing some sob story online. We don't judge anyone else in LZ land because we are all human, but that is not the right way to show vulnerability if your goal is to show up more fully as yourself and to connect more with your audience. The right way is to share your struggles, but not in a poor me type of way. The key is to also share what you figured out to solve the issue. This does usually mean you have to have solved the problem first, but it's not about not showing weakness in the moment, even though I was taught that too. Were you? The problem is that when you do that, you might attract commiseration, but that's not what creates real, lasting connection. There's only one thing that does that: shared values. But not just on priorities like being in integrity, although that absolutely builds connection as well. There are also values like what you want, your personality, how you were raised, and even what you're interested in. Anytime you share a story, what people are looking for, even if they don't consciously realize it, is those shared values. But if you're sharing an incomplete story, like a problem you haven't solved, then it's a lot harder to exhibit those values. For example, I have struggled so much to show up fully as myself, and I have been at this for almost a decade. There is nothing I would love more than for you to be able to see the LZ that my sister sees. Silly, caring, no BS, cool. I've mostly figured it out these days, although as always, there is always room for improvement. But that's why now I can share the story and we can connect on my hopefully being able to help you with the tips that I figured out. Plus, how it felt and the struggles I went through, which you might be feeling as well. And the fact that I wanted so much to be able to show up fully as myself that I kept at it for almost a decade. Because those are things that people who have the same struggle will connect with. But sometimes you might have a problem you're just not going to be able to solve, aka your weaknesses. The good news is you can connect on those too, because I truly believe that the flip side of every weakness is a strength. For example, I am a huge introvert. Like, the most tiring thing I can do is talk to people, even people I really like. If you're an introvert too, maybe you felt afraid that you don't have the charisma to connect with others or the stamina to be on social media consistently. I've got good news for you. You do not have to be the funniest, wittiest, most personable person. I'm not, but I am really good at nerding it up, aka sharing incredibly high value content. That's actually my secret for having built an audience of over 100,000 plus. The majority comes from my long form, high value content on my blog. People find my articles, join my email list, and over time, that adds up. I walk you through the exact steps I use in this video. You can build connection that way too. Plus, the fact I've built my business this way naturally attracts people who feel that way too. But it doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, the most helpful tip I've found to help you show up more fully as yourself is simple. Treat it like a new skill that you're learning, because that is exactly what it is. It's okay if it doesn't feel natural at first, but as long as you have a beginner's mindset and work on improving every day, you will improve. Plus, I think this will make you feel a lot better. You can connect with people even if you're not showing up fully as yourself yet. I had crossed multiple 7 figures when I recorded this video. You can tell I know what I'm talking about, but let's be honest, I'm kind of like a robot here. I wasn't trying to be, but you know how when you get in front of a camera, it's like another version of you has taken over the recording? I used to do regular live streams on my Facebook page. In fact, I did over 200 of those to practice being more natural on camera. That video though, it was after all those live streams. The point is, it doesn't have to stop you from growing your business. High five to not having to be perfect to grow. But one thing did make the biggest difference to my showing up more naturally on camera. One day, my husband, Steven, who knew I'd been struggling a lot with this, was watching me talk to Falco, which I do a lot, of course. He said, "Why don't you record your next video and pretend you're talking to Falco? Your face is a lot more natural and softer when you're talking to him." I'm literally imagining that right now. You can tell the difference between how I come across, which is actually a lot more me than my robot video, right? Try it the next time you do a video. Imagine you're talking to your pet, or if you don't have one, your favorite person. Let me know how it goes. I wish someone would have told me earlier on. Showing up more fully as yourself is a lot harder than most people make it seem. That's why I made this video for you. So give yourself a pat on the back for doing your best and getting a little better every day. Plus, I would love to hear from you. Let me know what you resonated most with in this video or the tip you found most helpful.